Okay, well, today we're going to take a look at a whole bunch of older Floyd Roses that you may not be familiar with. Before we do that, we're going to start off with what probably most folks are familiar with as far as what they think is an old school Floyd Rose. This is the non-Finetuner version. This happens to be a German-made one. Obviously, there were ones that Floyd Rose made in his garage, and then Fernandez had a couple of versions that were like this. The older ones were called FRT3s, I believe. And this was Schaller's take on it. And of course, it has the Schaller collar for the arm rather than the old school. And it's missing the hex bolts like some of the older prototypes did. So this is cool. So that's what this is the style that sort of started it all. Then you move into what more of us were probably familiar with in the 80s. This happens to be a left-handed model, but it would be the same type for a right-handed one. Again, it's a Schaller made. It's German. Same type of collar. It's got the springs on the back, and it's got the Finetuners. And these are really great tremolos. I mean, they last forever. And I mean, the stuff that rusts, you can generally just replace and buy it straight from Floyd Rose. Again, this is the base plate that has the knife edges that are actually just part of the base plate. And there was actually a prototype for this, but we'll get into that here in a second. Apologies if I'm hauling ass through this because I'm just trying to make sure I've got enough time to get it all in one shot. This is the Schaller kind of redesigned one. So it's got the, I don't even know if this was cast or whatever that base was. The hardened steel inserts for the knife edges, and it's got the embossed, I guess you would say, logo. And of course, this was just regurgitated many times. You know, there was a Jackson version and a Charbel version and so on and so forth. It had the big fat screws on the back, I should say bolts. And again, these were great. Also, it was a really neat innovation here with their the collar design here that allowed you to finally easily take the bar off and adjust it. It was a good idea. A lot of people love it. I hate it myself, but I still think it's a great invention. Now we're going to get into kind of this really short period where Floyd Rose got really popular. And he got some feedback from the artists that were using the FRT3s, the non-Finetuner versions. And they said, you know, we lock them and they go out of tune again. And that was hard because when Floyd Rose was making his own locking nuts, he was able to machine them to tolerances that were very precise. But when he had to farm the stuff out, he didn't get quite as precise. So if you've ever played a Floyd Rose and you notice when you lock it down on each nut, one string might go a little bit sharp and one might go a little bit flat. Well, the Finetuners kind of solved that. So the first stab he took at it was he made a version that had the Finetuners at a 90-degree angle. Now, this is not a Floyd Rose made one. It does have a Floyd Rose patent, but this is off of a Japanese Fernandez guitar. Okay. Interestingly enough, this has the T-block saddles, so the bottom of the insert is a T, so these won't fall out. That's the net of it. Really neat design. A little bit shorter bolts on the back, obviously. A lot of room to for going flat and sharp with the Finetuners, just because they are physically closer to the nut. So that allows that. Real beautiful Floyd Rose logo here. It's inset into the base, and the sucker has got a great big fat steel block on it. Also, notice this. Why, it's a very small hole for an arm. Now, how did that work? Well, here's another example of one that came off of Fernandez. By the way, they called this the FRT4, and if you look it up online and you can decipher some of the Japanese, they referred to it as the FRT4V for vertical. But this is like the classic old school Floyd Rose arm design. You got a stainless steel nut on top, a couple of neoprene washers on either side, and a lock nut on the bottom. It doesn't get much more old school than that, and it's really cool. These units, by the way, they sound fabulous. I think, honestly, you could put just about any Floyd Rose in your guitar, and as long as you think it sounds good, then it is good. So you can get into the the different blocks and stuff like that. Personally, I think the big fat ones are really great. This one is old school, big fat steel block, nice. But again, if you're playing through a huge gainy sound, it may not really matter. So interesting little bit here in the Floyd Rose history. I don't know how long they made these, maybe 6 or 9 months before they gave up on that design because most people's palms hit those Finetuners too much and they didn't like them. This tremolo also came out of Japan. This is what I call an uber cheap FRT 4V. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, obviously that doesn't seem like that's stock because it actually is a locking tremolo. It does have T-blocks. I swapped these Finetuners out with another one because I wanted the ones that came in this to go into a different tremolo. But look at this. I mean, you can actually remove the vertical piece there where the Finetuners are mounted in. So it's something you can disassemble quite a bit. It's neat. I've never put it on a guitar. The distance between the posts on this is not the same as a standard Floyd Rose. So even the FRT 4Vs that I had, I can drop them straight into a Kramer or anything that had an original Floyd Rose on it. So we know they were in partnership with each other until Floyd Rose signed an agreement with Schaller and then the exclusive distribution deal with Kramer. So Fernandez was kind of left high and dry, and that was kind of sad because they made some really awesome versions of the Floyd Rose. So now we come to what they kind of refer to as one of the holy grails of Floyd Roses. So this is the kind that you would see on like Eddie's guitars for quite some time. This is an FRT 5. So artists like Eddie, I think, complained, and they did not like the FRT 4V design with the vertical and no whale tail. So Floyd says, all right, and so he makes this whale tail here. But look, they did these really quick. This is stamped. Okay, this isn't cast. And if you kind of look down the line of the Finetuners, they're actually not totally in line with each other. They knock these suckers out really quick. Still has the old school collar. Very important identification. Big old steel block. Lots of milling marks on here. It's definitely imperfect. I mean, they slammed these things out. There weren't many made of them. I have heard that about 200 production Kramer guitars ended up with them. And as soon as Schaller got their production up and running, that's when we got the version that we all know and love, that the most prevalent, shall I say, that came on all the Kramers in the 80s. So notice this FRT5, though, it has the T-blocks too. And just a really neat thing. If you can find one of these, well, good luck on you, because they are stupid hard to find. Sure would be nice if somebody would, remanufacture these things again. We all know that Floyd Rose currently sells a tremolo that will retrofit onto a guitar that has like a stop tail piece, tunematic type arrangement. So like an SG or a Les Paul Explorer, that type of thing. But back in the day, they also made a different design. Now, as I understand it, Schaller designed the base plate and then stuck a Floyd Rose on top of it. And so I am guessing that it just wasn't a good design. I don't know. I'm going to mount one of these on a guitar, and I'll shoot a video of it when I do. The two on the outside here are the same. Okay, they are meant to be installed on a curved top, and they have these adjusters here. On both of the back posts. You take off the tunematic and it just rests on top. You can raise and lower the front of the Floyd. Normally, if you get one that's not been messed with, you'll notice that the saddles have these vertical lines in it, and that indicates whether they're the outside, the two middle, or the two inside saddles. That was kind of unique to this particular unit. I don't even know what the model number is. I can't find it anywhere. I've heard from somebody up in the Kramer factory that they had a pallet of these sitting around and nobody bought them, and they would just rob the saddles off of them for warranty claims, which is like, wow. Another one that I found, and this one is really odd. It's more for a flat surface, and it's been ground away right here, I guess, to kind of fit over the bushings for where the tunematic was. Check that out. that's that's weird. So this one doesn't have any real adjustment here, but this one does. Very strange. Now, another thing that you'll notice on the bottom of these is that, man, there are a ton of springs. And you know what? They work. To be determined whether they work well or not, because like I said, I haven't mounted one of these in a guitar yet, but I will. They are adjustable. It's easier to see right here. On this particular one, they adjust on the back with those two flathead screws. And then on this black one right here, sort of kind of the same, but you can see that it's Allen bolts and they're embedded. I mean, they're sunk into the back of that plate. This one's just really weird and I can't explain it. I mean, this is one of those, you get on eBay at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's there with a cheap buy it now price and you hop on it as quick as you can because you just can't explain it. Now, one of the things that I have just had a devil of a time finding are these. And these are the stupid... These are the things that are supposed to hold it in, you know, that screw in, because they're not exactly like stock Les Paul type back bolts. So I finally grabbed a pair. I wish I could find a few more because that would be nice. I think that's about it. Oh, one last thing. Let's look at the collars just all together now. So there is the FRT5. And one thing I will do is this is, of course, this is an 11 millimeter wrench. And you'll notice that jam nut right there, that's 11 millimeters. And it's the same on this FRT4 vertical. That is 11 millimeters on top. And the same on the bottom too, I believe. Yeah, these are all 11 millimeters. So you notice that, well, the prototype FRT5 has this kind of assembly. And so does the production FRT4V. That, I mean, you can go look up online. I think it's the 1983 Fernandez catalog. Go look at it. They've got a picture of this tremolo. Oh, man. Then we get into the Schaller collar. This is the super duper common one. And then, lastly, is the Schaller redesign. Cool stuff. Hope you've enjoyed this.